two, three.
Let's go. I love to see the temple. I'm going there someday to feel the Holy Spirit, to listen and to pray for the temple.
It is time for another episode of the Cultural Hall. It is a Temple Ticker episode of the Cultural Hall. What is that? What is a Temple Ticker? Well, it's an episode all about temples of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Well, what are those? Those are buildings where covenants are made, and then we get to wear underwear that everyone on the internet talks about. That's what temples are. And there are things that some towns people don't like, and there are things that some countries cry and cheer during General Conference for. It's complicated, and so we take the time to talk about each of these things. I'm joined by, well, really, I join him. He is the Pharaoh. He gets whatever he wants. That's why the nickname. It is Corey K. Ward. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Richie. How are you doing?
I am fantastic. I am excited to talk all about temples tonight because what the heck? If I can be so Mormon as to say, what the heck? There is some news. There is some news of newses. Of newses. Maybe I'm just being inflammatory to get people to listen all the way to the end, but I feel like there's things that I'm like, wait, what? What? That's all.
Yeah, we're going to get to those. There are some big things that have been happening the last 3 weeks that we haven't talked.
Yeah, we put him to bed and then nope, no, we didn't. And then picture came out and I looked at a picture of a temple and I said, I bet Corey can't wait to talk about that. All sorts of things. You lovingly put together all the things that we talk about. You can find the link in the show notes for all of the different things. You want to see the pictures, you want to see the history, the where it's at in construction, all of the things. He takes way too much time to put them together, so use them, why don't you? You can find that at theculturalhall.com. Find us on social media at The Cultural Hall. Let us first go to temple number 204, Nairobi, Kenya.
Yeah, the Nairobi, Kenya temple was dedicated on May 18th. Elder Ulisses Soares was there. This is pretty significant because this is the first temple in East Africa. This is one of the last temples that President Monson announced before he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been under construction for a long time. And in that time, the church in Kenya and the surrounding nations has actually grown a lot. Before the temple was announced, it was actually kind of stagnant. There was only like one stake in Nairobi. There was not much going on. There's only one mission there. And in those basically 10 years that the temple has been under construction, there's now a new area, the Africa East area. There's now, I think, 3 or 4 stakes in Nairobi. There was a mission organized in Tanzania, and stuff there has exploded. Uganda has also exploded after being slow for a long time. And now they also have a temple announced there. So before, the closest temple was
you froze
in Johannesburg, South Africa, to members of the church.
Okay. We got you back now. We got you back.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I was just saying, in East Africa, it's such a large distance all the way to have to go to South Africa or to the Congo. And so having a temple here brings it a lot closer to a lot of people.
Do you suppose, because you also study sort of like the geography and some of the statistics and those patterns and some of those things, do you think it was a thing that, because some would chalk it up to, yeah, it's a prophet of God, sees the future, sees what's needed, and is able to be built? Or is it a concentration of forces, if you can allow the word, because we've sent so many more missionaries into that part of the world that the net sum would be that we would obviously have more members of the church? Is it that the United States is being more accepted in the continent of Africa that it would lend to these things? What do you draw it to?
I think most people can probably have a combination of all those things.
Yeah.
But certainly the church has put more investment in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Having Tanzania be its own mission, having Rwanda and Burundi as its own mission, now having 2 missions in Kenya. I think it's, and there's also been more investment in local languages there. So before, missionaries only taught in English. Now they teach in a lot of other languages as well, Swahili. I know there was a group from Tanzania that I remember hearing, kind of got a scholarship to go visit the temple during the open house. I think Kirk Franklin was involved in that, raising funds to get a bus together for people that had never gone to a temple before to go to that temple open house. So a lot of these people in this part of the world, have never gone to the temple before, so it's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can't help but think about how much the educational piece, or like if I try and put myself in the position of, if I'm in the socioeconomic position of a lot of these people, and I'm not trying to dumb down the gospel to being like an economic advantage for these people, and that's why they're doing it. But I do think that there's a certain level of like hope that you see people bringing resources, education, a betterment of life, complemented with a belief in Christ, that it just seems like that's the walked out path of what that would be, that I would just be like, yes, I am going to do that thing. Of course I will do that thing. That is a better life. It is closer to Christ as I know him. It's learning more of him. It's getting my family out of generational poverty. Like, some of that to me, I just think that's got to be a significant part of it. Which all the haters, hold on. I'm not saying that the Spirit doesn't touch the hearts of these people, or that like the light of Christ in providing hope and education and knowledge and all these things, the things that we talk Sunday in and Sunday out and go, yeah, 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 that's the thing. Like, that's just it. It's just walked out differently in a country where there isn't that much privilege like there is in the United States.
Yeah, certainly.
Hmm.
Peggy Fletcher Stack even was like Tribune was in Kenya around this time of the open house. Um, she interviewed a couple that are leaders of the church in Kenya, and just they talk about how the church has developed in their lifetime, and it was really interesting. She brought up issues like polygamy, which happens there
Mhm.
in some circles. Also, the practice of bride price, where kind of like it's the 8 cow wife thing, where you have to like
A
buy
dowry, right?
a dowry. Yeah, there
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
So the church discourages that.
Sure.
Um, but in other ways, they kind of adapt the tradition to their own. So maybe instead of calling it a bride price, they call it just like a transaction or something. I
Hmm.
remember hearing someone kind of adapted the practice to respect the council of the church, but also to respect their family, who this is their custom to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, the church faces a lot of different challenges, what you would think from if you've lived in the United States your whole life. It's really interesting.
It's also significant, this temple, because as Elder Suarez, it's a an apostle from not the United States dedicating a temple in not the North or South America, right? That's probably been done a couple times when Elder Suarez has dedicated something, but that's got to be one of the firsts.
Certainly, yeah. This is probably his, I think, fourth temple he's dedicated. So, and it's not like they don't speak Portuguese there. So it's not like
Sure.
he's going to there's other places in Africa that do speak Portuguese, but this place, mostly English and a little bit of Swahili. But yeah,
Pretty cool.
there's eight stakes and 19 districts that are going to be attending this temple in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Ethiopia, and Rwanda.
I'm trying to look to see what other ones he has dedicated. He dedicated my favorite expletive temple, Feather River.
There you
And
go.
also, I'm trying to pick up some other ones that he's done along the way. The Arequipa, Peru temple. And, I mean, you know better than me. Why am I saying this? But that's pretty cool. Africa and a guy un-American born. Pretty awesome. So then we go to Ivory Coast, or Cote d'Ivoire.
Cote d'Ivoire, yeah. I think the church, when they announced this temple, it was the Abidjan Cote d'Ivoire temple, but now they've just renamed it the Abidjan Ivory Coast temple. I don't know if that's just easier for English speakers to say it that way.
We default to the lowest common denominator. Are we having a problem? Ivory Coast, sure.
And of course, if you're speaking French, then you'd say it that way. But um, this is a big deal because this is another President Monson temple, and it's taken a long time to finish. The church in the Ivory Coast has grown a lot in these 10 years as well. Even before that, it was growing a ton. This is a big deal because basically, this is the outside of like Nigeria, this is like the second temple in West Africa, not so after Ghana. Basically, all these countries that are to the west of Ghana that have been having to make that journey all the way to Accra now have a new temple to go to in Abidjan. Um, So there's 41 stakes and
Jeez.
there's 41 stakes and 15 districts that are going to be going to this temple. Because when this temple was announced, there's probably only like a handful, honestly.
Sure.
Um, and that's in Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, Senegal. And now there's a temple under construction in Sierra Leone, and then there's one announced in Liberia as well. So eventually, those those members will get a temple even closer.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because with 41, even if you divide it in three, that's still 14 stakes going to a temple. That's a lot. And
Yeah, I think
especially where you're talking, countries is a stake. He's counting.
there's in Abidjan, there's 16 stakes, 16 or 17 stakes just in that one city. I think it's
Jeez.
the place in Africa with the city with the most stakes. So I would not be surprised in the future there might even be a second temple in this place.
Okay. Okay. And then we get to what? Syracuse, President Nelson with the audible. Hey guys, I'm going. Who called it? I don't want to say me, but me.
Yeah, good job. This
Thank you.
was not announced who would be dedicating this temple until about 1 week prior, and then we learned that President Nelson was announced to do this. Also, a few media sources, like the Salt Lake Tribune, reported that he would be in person, but the dedicatory prayer would be recorded, and they would play it while he was there, which is what we've seen in General Conference, and I guess probably in the other temple dedications that he's recently done in Tooele and Manti. So not really any change in precedent. It was just kind of a confirmation that, yeah, this is what's happening.
Do we know, did he speak live at all? Like, hello, welcome. It's so great to have you here. Somebody press play. Can someone?
Honestly, I'm sure he had to.
But you
If he was
don't
healthy
know
enough
that.
to if he was healthy enough to be there, I assume he at least said hello. I don't know.
Yeah. That was the thing that was curious to me because of the way that the press picked it up. The now almost 101, which just blows my mind. We were like, there's no way. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
hanging on to Salt Lake, guys. Listen, I made a deal. I made a deal. We'll get there. Uh, yeah, the way that the press was reporting it made me think that this would be different in that it's all recorded, and he would just be like, "I, thus saith me." Press play.
Yeah. I think since this we last recorded, I did get to go see the open house of this temple. Um, it was like the Memorial Day weekend, so there was a lot of people there. We had to wait in
Sure.
line a little bit. But yeah, it's the first temple with two baptistries. As part of the tour, we didn't get to go through both baptistries. They just noted that one's called the North Baptistry and one's called the South Baptistry.
Is it
So
because one's on the north and one's on the south?
there you go. You're pretty smart.
Yeah. Yes.
I was always wondering how they were going to differentiate, if they're going to call it one and two, or if they were going to somehow like do it by gender, which I think would be silly
Oh
because you
yeah. No,
need.
that's weird.
But no, there's separate dressing rooms for both sexes on both sides
Sure.
of the temple. So they're literally but not just two baptismal fonts, but two baptistries with all the things and everything.
And you know why, right?
Go ahead, tell me.
It's because Davis County, very, very LDS heavy, and lots of the high school kids, and now I guess late middle school kids, they like it is a trendy thing. Is that the word I want to say? It is a cool thing. It is a popular thing. It is a well accustomed practice to go to the temple like before school. Hey, let's go to the temple before school. We'll be a little bit late. We have seminary first period. We'll do baptisms in the morning. We go every Tuesday. We whatever the thing may be. The driving force behind that is the youth. Not to say that adults aren't doing baptisms and converts and all that stuff, but it is the traditions of these ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade kids going, let's go. Let's flood the temple. Not literally, thank goodness.
I mean, sure, and there's always been temples with more ceiling rooms, with more endowment rooms, and so there's always been like a way to scale that,
Mm-hmm.
where basically there's only been one baptismal font in each temple, so there's kind of that choke point there.
Yep.
So I think finally the church just decided just put two of them in there.
Yeah,
And
let's
they
go.
can, yeah, lessen the
And
wait
the
times.
people of Syracuse are like, listen, Arizona, you made your record breaking 3,276 in 7 weeks. We're coming for you. Syracuse isn't having that. We're coming for you, Arizona youth. Did you see that in the thing?
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about that
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's cool. when you think about all the crap kids could be doing, I think that's awesome that we put some dollars to make it so that kids can go to the school and they can grab a quick bite at the Denny's and then make their way to school on time in the morning.
There you go. I was a little bit surprised that they only assigned 16 stakes in Davis County to this temple. I thought maybe some kind of southern Weber County stakes, like in Roy or kind of up there, Hupper. I thought they might be assigned there. They still probably will go to that temple because it's probably closer to Ogden.
Sure.
But if for temple worker purposes, I guess they'll continue to be in Ogden, which I think it still has 48 stakes in it, and they don't have another temple announced in the district. So
Hmm.
is Weber County going to get a second temple
Yes,
anytime soon?
North
Do you think
Ogden,
so? North Ogden?
1,000%.
Okay.
The question you should be asking yourself, Mr. the Pharaoh, is who's going to get it first? Some part of North Ogden, that part of the Weber Valley, or Fillmore? That's the question you should be asking.
Okay, yeah.
Which is going to get it first?
Bit interesting.
And getting to the Ogden Temple is hard. The Ogden Temple is right down on like 24th Street or 23rd Street, and you have to park in that garbage parking lot. Not the temple one is great, but if it's overflowed at all, you're fighting with everyone and everything, and there's 7 million things, and you went to the wrong place. You thought it was a baptistry, and it's the Surf's Up thing, and then you end up just hanging out there all day. That never happened to me.
That sounds like very personal. So yeah, that was temple number 206 if we didn't say that.
That's crazy.
Basically, I think we have one more dedication this spring or summer, and then there'll be some more in the fall.
But any more dedications announced? There are, yes.
Yes, I think it's for this coming week, the Antofagasta, Chile temple
Okay.
is scheduled. And then let me pull it up. Farmington in August, Elko in October.
That's right. We got to get to Elko.
Grand Junction in October, and Bahia Blanca, Argentina in November.
Now, I'm going to throw you off your game a little bit, and I'm going to change the notes. I can't change the notes. You can. Darn it. I want to talk about why did they call a Cleveland temple president and matron already? I looked at the pictures of like what that looks like, and it's not even done on the outside yet.
Have you how more? I mean,
Like
the pictures that I've seen recently, it looks like it's starting to not wrap up, but like it's all the way there.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I mean, the Cleveland temple is one of these modular temples.
Yeah.
So probably more finished on the inside than we think. As far as all that goes, but all like the delicate intricacies and all of those things, you got to know that that's not done. It seems
and they still
like you always tell me when they call a temple president and matron that we're soon. We're not soon. We better not be soon. I'm not ready to go back yet.
I mean, I think early next year, probably in the spring. That's what I would guess.
And we would call the president already. It just seemed super early. When I saw it, I went, Kirtland, what are we doing here?
I guess they're just getting ahead of themselves.
Okay.
So the president will be Cindy Ellen Connor, and the matron will be Melody Ann Hammer Connor. They live in the Lisbon ward in the Hiram, Ohio stake. He was born in Virginia, and she was, born in Farmington, New Mexico. So yeah.
When I served out there wasn't a Hiram stake. That's how much the church has grown in that area. And prophecy would tell you, temple in the Hiram area.
You think so?
They 100% have said. So if you go to the Johnson farm, and people from the area will tell you this, this will be it's a symbolic temple. It's not we need it because of all the people that are there sort of temple, where the prophet Joseph was tarred and feathered, and then preached from the stoop the next morning, and all of those things. It was prophesied. Hinckley, maybe? Benson? I don't know. Someone, so we're talking 20, 30 years ago, said, we have this farmland now here where there are strawberries and apples, and one day there will be a temple for the people here. So.
That's interesting.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, it looks like there'll probably be, I'm guessing, probably just 4 stakes assigned to the Cleveland Temple. There's Cleveland, Kirtland, Hiram, and Akron. Mm-hmm. So that would be a pretty big deal if just those 2 stakes
We're not
got
going to
split
get
off
it.
to another
We're not going
temple.
to get it for a while, but
Not for a while, but there's now two temples in the area
yeah.
that belong to the church, the Kirtland and the Cleveland. So
AI tells me I'm up in the night, but I remember someone telling me this story, so I'll stick to it because someone said, "Do I have a source?" No, I do not, but I'm sticking to it. Should we take a break? Come back and we'll talk about groundbreaking, sites announced, renderings released, and drama. So much drama. So much drama. We'll come back in just a second. Let me take just a moment to tell you all about bestdjinutah.com. That is the website where you can learn all about me. Oh, sure, you probably feel like you know me, but you know me in the cultural hall sense. I have a DJ company now, 6 of us strong. Great event hosts, MCs, and DJs that can be able to make whatever event you have coming up absolutely spectacular, and hope you will reach out to us. Now you're thinking, well, wait a minute, Richie, I don't live in Utah. Would you travel? Absolutely, I would travel. Would they travel? Absolutely, they would travel. Whatever your event is, doesn't have to be a wedding or a community event. We can do all sorts of things. I can teach you line dancing. I can dance with you. We can do partner dancing. We can do all kinds of things, but we can't do any of it if you don't hit me up. You can go to bestdjinutah.com. You can fill out the form to get more information or get a quote, and then I will get right back to you. Find out why I'm so busy and why sometimes we don't get episodes of the Cultural Hall. It's all because of bestdjinutah.com. Here in the second half, we continue on with Temple news. During the break, Corey took a moment to just tell me how wrong I was. The Cleveland Temple will be done by next spring. If you could hear how he browbeat me while we had everything on pause. I get it. You're right. That's why we call you the Pharaoh. Sent me some pictures. See? This is why we... Ridiculous. Okay.
yeah, they're installing the stained glass windows already.
In the
So
Cleveland Temple. Okay.
it's on the final stages. They're doing that.
I'm so excited for it. This is so nerdy. Maybe not that nerdy, but several alum, do we call them that? Former elders of the Ohio Cleveland Mission. We're all going to go back without our spouses, and it's going to be the biggest bro trip ever. So annoying, so obnoxious to go back for maybe the open house, maybe the dedication. We can't decide what we're going to do. But one of those things to go back. We'll do Kirtland, we'll do Hiram. Hopefully they'll do it late enough in the season that you can go and enjoy some time up on Lake Erie so you're not freezing. Cleveland is like Chicago. It's miserable in the wintertime. So who knows? We'll see. Okay. Temple groundbreakings. Take me here. Let's go.
Yeah, so the Natal, Brazil temple had a groundbreaking on May 17th. Mark D. Eddy of the Brazil area presidency was there to do the groundbreaking. It notes that the word Natal in Portuguese means Christmas. So I actually didn't know that. It's not like Navidad. It's pretty a little different, even though the language is similar. So this is the Christmas temple. Christmas
Great.
all year round. Yep.
I love it. Then we go to Nigeria. This is another one of those ones that you were talking about.
Yeah, this is going to be, I believe, the biggest temple in Africa when it's finished. Square footage and 2-story. And the church in Benin, so it's Benin City, Nigeria, not Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 8 or 9 stakes in this city, so it's grown a ton. I wasn't surprised when they announced the temple here. But I always have a hard time with this name, Adeyinka A. Ojediran, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the West Africa area presidency. He was there to preside over this groundbreaking.
The pictures from the groundbreaking, I love so much. As we just are sort of rounding the anniversary of the lift of the priesthood ban on black members of the church. I love the pictures. I love the pictures of any dedication. I sort of go, why are we bringing dirt in and moving it with shovels, whatever. But like the groundbreaking, super cool, super inspirational. But the pictures of the African people having an African temple, and it's just awesome. It's so awesome looking. The colors, I love every bit of it. Makes my heart so happy.
Yeah, this will be the 3rd temple in Nigeria. Or depending on, I guess, what one gets done first. The Lagos temple just happened a month ago. the groundbreaking for that. So these two temples will be under construction at the same time. Pretty exciting.
And then Vancouver, Washington. It's about time Washington gets an. I'm kidding.
Yeah, this is a groundbreaking scheduled for August 23rd. Elder Mark A. Bragg will be there to do the groundbreaking, preside over that. We had news earlier that the temple had passed environmental review and it was cleared to go, and so now they're officially starting. This is about the same size as the temple that was proposed for Fairview, but there was not nearly enough opposition to this temple to stop it, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm. And then a site chosen for Chihuahua, or
I love it. Yeah, the Chihuahua Mexico temple. Um, this will be the third temple in the state of Chihuahua, but the first in the capital city of Chihuahua. The other one is in Juarez, and then Ciudad Juarez along the border. This will be located at the intersection of Avenida de la Cantera and Avenida Real Escondido, basically on the edge of the city. But it's a really cool area that has like a lot of hills and it's pretty scenic. There'll be a single-story temple of 19,000 square feet. For this design, a lot of the temples in Mexico that they've been building have been more of a Spanish colonial design, but it looks like for this temple they chose more of an Art Deco kind of modern design, which is interesting.
do we think
Um,
it's going to be one of the modular ones? It looks awful square. Looks awful like it could come in pieces.
so far the module ones have only been the 10,000 square foot ones
Okay. Okay.
that are square. This is more of a rectangle. So unless they're starting to do larger temples with modulars, then I don't think so.
Okay.
But yeah, I like the motifs. They have a cool little diamond pattern on the spire. Looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it. And again, you can see all the links in the show notes. So make sure you click and check that out. You can find that associated with this episode or at theculturalhall.com. Now, this is the one I was thinking about. Buenos Aires, the city center of Argentina, the temple. It's a multi-story. It's a whole thing. It's like Temple Square of Buenos Aires.
There we go. Yeah, I was really surprised by this, actually. I thought there'd be more of a modest sized temple, but no, it's a very large looking temple, although they did not release the square footage, so I do not know
Interesting.
exactly how big it is. But if you're familiar with the temple in Bangkok, Thailand, that was dedicated a couple years ago, looks, pretty similar color, kind of modern design, kind of a center spire with a large gold spire. Um, What's unique about this is that it's located right behind a Catholic monastery,
Okay.
I guess they call it a former ex-monastery. But it's kind of a historic place that's been one of the oldest churches in Argentina. And this lot has just been a parking lot for a long time. Um, what's interesting is that there is kind of a local preservationist group that really has been advocating for this area to be bought by the city and to be turned into a plaza with a park, to increase green space in this area and to kind of blunt the gentrification that's been happening. So I am very interested to see what their reaction to this is because the church looks like is trying to be accommodating to that wish.
Mhm.
About 60% of the site, or about 3,600 square meters is a plaza with a lot of greenery. And in the center, they have a Christus statue there.
Which is
Um,
incredible. This is so cool.
yeah, it is. The area by the Christus statue is kind of fenced off. They said it will be open to the public, but probably not 24 hours.
Yep.
But there is like a mid-block crossing park kind of right next to the monastery that helps pedestrians can pass by that at all times of the day. They'll have a lot of trees and greenery there. It kind of provides a buffer for that historic building as well. It
Hmm.
looks like the church is planning some sort of structure, maybe like an accommodation center on the kind of the side by the monastery, but they said they'll have underground parking. There was some archaeological sites there because there's a cemetery there, so the church said they're working with that to try and make sure that everything is taken care of in that way. But yeah, this is a multi-story temple, probably 4, maybe 5 stories high, and a pretty tall spire, a lot taller than the monastery. So I do wonder because this neighbor group has gone to court and they've blocked some large buildings, some kind of high rises from being built on this site. So I wonder if basically they'll try and do the same with this, if we'll get a fair view in Argentina all of a sudden, or if
No. I
or
mean,
if the church has maybe gone ahead and tried to already reach out to them and get some of their wishes before
we're
they
riches.
they release this. So
Yeah,
maybe.
interesting. Interesting. I love it. It's a beautiful, beautiful temple. I think that's exciting that we're building a thing like that down there.
Yeah, they
And
said they have local architects that have helped design it, and they kind of combine the Art Deco and there's a design called the Racionalismo Porteño, which is kind of like a modernist building that you see in Buenos Aires in the downtown area.
hmm.
So that's the kind of the inspiration that they got for that.
So, what then? We get now to some construction updates. The temple, we're still on track for April to October 2027 Salt Lake Temple update, right? That's still happening.
Yep, they're still
What's the font? What's the font update?
Yeah, so they released some more pictures of the inside of the temple. I love that they are releasing all these interior photos of the temple because it feels like normally it's a big secret until the open house. They don't show a lot, but I'm glad that they're updating us with these interior photos just to get us a glimpse of what it'll be like. So they're right now putting together the two baptismal fonts. They took out the original one from the main part of the temple, and then they're going to add two to the underground annex area.
Mm,
So when they did that, they took off the old oxen from the original and they're reinstalling them on this new baptismal font. And then the other baptistry will have some new oxen.
Now, misleading though, because I think the original oxen, this is some nerdy stuff that you'll appreciate. I don't think the
Okay.
original oxen in the temple are the original oxen in the temple.
You mean they've been replaced already?
Yeah, they've been replaced before because, are you ready for this bit of nerdiness? I went on a tour of the Wood Museum up in Bountiful, and they have the plaster cast of the replacement oxen from the temple or something like that. Something that indicates that
Okay.
what is there now is not what was originally there.
Okay. I like it. That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
I'm telling you, one
Um,
day we're going to go there and you're going to be like, yes, I am a nerd who loves this. And I'll be like, thank you. Thank you for being nerdy like me.
I love it. They had some they're working to remove some of the varnish from the old staircases. They have those spiral staircases up the towers of the temple.
Hmm.
So they're working to get that wood back to a good condition. And they have some really cool photos of the ceiling in the celestial room. It's really detailed, has a lot of colors on it, a lot of cool designs. So definitely check out those
Grapes.
photos.
The grapes were what struck me. The
Yeah, I love
hand
the grapes that
painted
hang from the
bright grapes.
yeah, just hanging from the ceiling there.
Yep.
And they're really working to the temple was kind of whitewashed in the 1960s in that renovation, and they're really working to bring back the colors that were original to the Victorian area.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's get to some drama. Should we go to the other first, or do you want to go right headlong into the environmental delay?
Let's go to the environmental delay.
Let's
The
go.
Springfield, Missouri temple looks like has been delayed over concerns about bats that I guess migrate on the area. So they said it's hard to tell how much this will throw off the timeline of the temple since it's been made public. They said it's federal and state law to protect these bats, I guess.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, Says you're not allowed to interrupt during the bat migrating season. So I think cutting down trees and having a bright light in this area will probably disrupt that, I
Sure.
assume.
Yeah. You know what they need to do? Are you ready for the best dad joke of this whole episode?
Go ahead.
They need to build a baptismal font. So
Okay.
bad. So dumb.
So
So
dumb.
dumb. Okay, so that's delayed for that. Nah, okay, I'm behind that. I'll say yeah, let's if they're protected. Gotta
So yeah, I
protect.
mean it's interesting because
Okay.
like this area is kind of on the edge of town. There's housing being built around it, so it's interesting that like the temple gets called out for this environmental review where all the other places around it seem to be, getting approved. So I don't know if this is just checking all the boxes or if there's anything else. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay. Let's save Cody for a minute. Let's go to Heber Valley, and then we'll come back to Cody.
Yeah, the judge is now hearing the case over the lawsuit. It is very interesting that there's been a groundbreaking like 3 years ago, almost coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And in the case of Cody, they decided to go and start construction during the lawsuit. But I guess they're just being a little more cautious on this one.
It's
But
because
there's going to
a couple of the apostles live in Heber Valley, and they have to
That's
be careful. I guarantee you, it is the citizenry of the town. It strikes too close to home. They can't. There's too many people impacted, whereas Cody is maybe not as much.
Yeah, so the judge says that it's going to have a summary judgment, which just means that it kind of will come pretty fast. Once the judge issues the opinion, then that will be it. They won't have to go on a bunch more stuff. So yeah, that's happening right now. We'll hear probably in a few weeks what the outcome is.
And then let's go Fairview and then back to Cody, because I've got something a little different than what you have for the
Oh, okay.
Wyoming. Yeah.
Um, I haven't read or looked into the story a ton, but it looks like after all that drama of the city finally reluctantly approving the temple, now the same neighborhood group, I guess, is gonna try and go to court. So there might also be court stuff here. So yet another delay, perhaps.
Yep. Trying to change the zoning, saying, listen, hey, you know what? There's a reason why this should not be this way. We would like to rezone it. So now they're going back to court. Could be. Could be. Okay, so Cody, Wyoming, you do your story and then I'll do my story because I thought my story was pretty interesting, but it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the city council itself.
Yeah, so right next to the temple, there is a family called the Nielsen's who own land, and they originally wanted to rezone their land so they could put, they call them medium low density residential housing because before it was just called rural housing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and originally they wanted a little bit more, they wanted basically duplexes, houses
Okay.
that were stuck to each other. And then they decided that no, that's too much. You can only have medium density. So yeah, that's what they decided to do. They got that R1 zoning change.
So how much do you want to bet that the church had something to do with that? Because the last thing in the world that the church would want would be duplexes as you drive up to the temple. And listen, I know people will think all kinds of things about what I'm saying right now, but they care about the neighborhood that's around it. Look at the places it's placed in Utah. Look at the places placed in internationally. All these things, right? I don't know this. I don't
Because
know.
only criminals live in duplexes, Richie.
Yes. Well, you can't have your own house because you're a criminal.
You're a criminal.
But this was the story that I found that I thought was interesting. Guy by the name of Barry Cook. He is the city administrator for Cody, Wyoming. He is retiring. How long has he worked for the city of Wyoming, you asked? The city of Cody, Wyoming? 45 years and 11 months. Couldn't have held out for another month, huh, pal? But he decided to retire. Yes, that's me throwing shade unnecessarily so. He said, while saying he was proud of his life's work and his ability to build collaborative, effective teams, Cook said that he wishes he would have taken a more aggressive approach to the permitting of the LDS temple. And, in retrospect, the city administrator, this guy, Barry Cook, said that he should have asked the former city planner to recuse himself from the permitting process. Now, would the temple still have gone into place without that person that didn't recuse themselves? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm telling you, if trustworthy Barry Cook of 45 years and 11 months in Cody, Wyoming, who served the people really well, goes, man, a regret I have is something around this. I'm not saying it's nefarious. I'm not saying it's criminal, but I am saying it's not clean. Barry Cook, 45 years and 11 months, doesn't go, I worked this great time and I have one regret from my time for absolutely nothing. And I don't even know Barry Cook of 45 years and 11 months. He's a principled gentleman. He's a principled Cody gentleman. And there's something there when he goes, should have done that different.
Yeah, that was a ride when that was happening.
And that former person was a member of the church, correct?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Should have recused himself. Okay, so now take me to Idaho, where I love this. So you guys don't get to see this until you see the notes, but you're hearing this first. Corey will put in the notes other or something sort of random, and then it says Pocatello, Idaho Temple, and I'm like, okay, we're going to talk about the Pocatello, Idaho Temple, and then the link says large knife.
Yeah, there was a man outside of the Pocatello Idaho Temple the other morning, allegedly threatening people with a large knife. But police came to, or I guess it was in the afternoon. Police came at 6 p.m., found him in the parking lot, and he surrendered without any further incident. So even in a place that only has single-family homes around it, the Pocatello Temple up in the hills, so you think it's your safe neighborhood.
And then he
No,
went back to his duplex.
No one is safe.
And you buried part of the lead there, Mr. the Pharaoh himself. He had swords too. There were swords in his car, not just large
Swords.
knives. He had a sword.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Planning
beware,
something larger.
beware the man that lives in a duplex with a sword. If he goes by three names, you know you're in deep trouble. Deep trouble. Okay. And then the last one. Let's put a sword in it. The Paris, Idaho Tabernacle.
Yeah, it will close in early July for necessary repairs. This is a structure that's 137 years old. And it was built by early members of the church in the Bear Lake Valley area. So yeah, this tabernacle is just right on the highway. You can't miss it when you drive through Paris. It can seat 1,500 people. So that I think normally they just use it for state conference and other big events. Nowadays, they have a meeting house down the road. But this is where my family comes from, the Bear Lake
really?
area. They settled just in a place just south of Paris. So I would not be surprised if they were involved in the construction.
It is a gorgeous place, and if you are at all around the Bear Lake area around the 4th of July, massive concert. A
Oh,
calling and maybe even some form of like paid job on some level the 4th of July weekend at the Paris, Idaho Tabernacle. So go and check it out. Who knows how long it'll be closed for? I'm sure there's lots of structural things that once you open a wall, you go, oh, shoot. Okay. Somebody write Salt Lake. We're going to need a little bit more money and a little bit more time. So go check it out if you get the chance. That's
yep, I
it.
agree.
That's it.
There we go. That's it.
We done?
I think so.
I'm a little upset that your microphone stayed in better place today. One of my favorite things is watching you try and head lean your microphone into staying into place. But thank you for the love that you put into all of this stuff. I'm sure that we'll chat again. July becomes a little bit of a not lazy month, but not a lot of temple news because a lot of the leadership of the church takes the month of July off. Who knows though? We got so many temples coming. They may not be able to do that part of it taken off. But we will chat again when there is enough temple news to be able to do it. And we call it a temple ticker. Corey K. Ward, the Pharaoh himself. If people want to find your nerdery online, how can they find it?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page called Latter-day Saint Chapels Around the World Daily. If you want to see a steak from somewhere around the world every day, I post those pictures.
Love it. I love it. Also, I made a mention of this in the episode I did with Alan Collier. The one he's a construction guy, works with the temple. And I made a mention about there's a gorgeous stained glass near my house that I drive by on occasion. And it was boarded up. And I was like, oh no, are they taking it out? Turns out they were just changing the roof. And they wanted to make sure that the roofers didn't hit the stained glass. So
This is the chapel?
they boarded it over. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
So it's safe. It's gonna still be there. I was heartbroken when I saw it. Hope this episode has nourished and strengthened your body,
Hope that if you weren't able to listen this week, that you're able to listen next week.
and that when the time comes, you will be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, go Tar Heels. Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger with a U we'll be saving a seat for you
On the back row,
of the
the
Cultural
Cultural
Hall.
Hall.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat. On the back row, we really gotta go on the Cultural Hall show.